Between wildfires and hurricanes, tornadoes and winter storms, it seems like there's always some kind of emergency to prepare for, and that's what I want to talk to you about today. So, grab a paper and pencil and let's make an emergency checklist together. Well, hi everyone. My name is Crystal from A Crystal Clear Life, where we focus on planning, organizing, and living a more simplified life. And today I would like to talk to you about emergency preparedness. I know that the month of October, we all check our fire extinguishers and our smoke detectors. November is the month that I always like to go through and check on my list and make sure that I have everything ready for those winter storms that might happen, where I may have to shelter in place in my own home for a big snowstorm. And then there's always events like floodings or hurricanes that might cause evacuations. So today, I want to take kind of a serious look at those things. Just as I'm going through my own list, maybe you guys will get some ideas for your own emergency preparedness list. And I'm going to keep mine, of course, in OneNote. Now, before you say, but Crystal, what if it's on the computer and the power is out and you can't get to your list? Well, there's two things I want to say about that. Actually, there's three things I want to say about that. First of all, I'm somebody who checks the weather every day, and I am usually aware if a storm is brewing and heading for my area. So some of these checklists I will start 2 or 3 days before the storm actually happens, okay? So I do have access to my list in OneNote at that point. The other thing that I want to say is if you're new to OneNote, OneNote is something that crosses all platforms. So I can use it on my desktop, as you'll see me using it today. I can also use it on my iPad and bring it up here, even if I'm not connected to the network. And I can also use it on my Android or Apple phone. So if I have cellular service, I can still get to my OneNote. Now, OneNote does have a great offline feature so that you can work in OneNote and you can look at things that you've already brought down in OneNote. You do not have to be connected to the internet to use it. That is one of the great things about it. But you can also print from OneNote and make a printout of what your emergency lists look like, and then save those in an emergency binder in paper form somewhere in your home. Okay, maybe you want it inside the garage door. Maybe you have an emergency binder that you keep in the kitchen. Maybe you have a plastic tub that you keep all your important papers in and you want to tape it to the top of that. Whatever you want to do, all of those things work great. But storing them in OneNote makes them very easy to update from time to time. Okay? All right. Well, with all that said, let's get started taking a look at some of my storm prep here. All right. Well, as you can see here on my screen, I have a page that I created in 2018, and I go back every year and edit it and make sure that it is up to date. I've been using OneNote a long time, probably 10, 12 years. So you'll see lots of old pages. I'm sorry that it's not very pretty, but it is very functional. And to me, that's the important part. Okay. So here's storm prep for time when we will shelter in place here in our home. If I hear that there is a snowstorm or a blizzard coming, or even a thunderstorm in the summertime, the first thing that I do is, I yell storm prep, and that means everybody in the house goes to their respective bathroom and starts putting water in the bathtub. We are on a septic tank here and a well, and so if the power goes out, we do not have access to running water. So in order to flush the toilets and in order to have drinking water, we fill the bathtubs with water to be used in the toilets. That's the first thing on the list. And then the second thing is I have one of those big orange igloo coolers that holds 5 gallons of water, and I will fill that up and put it on the countertop so that I know I have at least 5 gallons of fresh water. And then in that closet back there, There are also gallons of water that I keep stored on the floor that I rotate out throughout the year, okay? So want to make sure that I have plenty of water. Next thing on my list is headlamps out. And, access to those. I usually put them on the same little desk that the camera stuff sits on. Each person in our family has their own headlamp so that you don't have to walk around, in the dark. If it's wintertime, I want the kerosene filled for the emergency kerosene heater. I want to make sure that the pilot light is on in this gas fireplace behind me so that I can use that for heating if I need to as well. Okay. Then I usually will prep a meal that is easy to reheat, something like chili or, I have cans of chicken noodle soup that I keep in my emergency kit just for situations like that. Because believe it or not, if you have a tea candle and you light that and put a mug of soup up above it, it will actually warm up to boiling, if you leave it there long enough. So something that's easy to reheat, especially in snowstorms, is a good idea. Okay. All right. And then an alternative cooking source, and make sure that that cooking source has fuel. I have a propane gas grill, so I always want to make sure that my propane tanks are filled. I also have a camping stove that uses the small propane fuel tank, so I want to make sure that I have those. I also have sterno in the emergency kit downstairs, and we have a wood burning fire pit out back, so I want to make sure that the wood is covered and dry in case we need to use that. And next on my list, I want to make sure that my cars are fully gassed up. I usually fill up once I get to a quarter of a tank, but if I'm at half and there's a big storm coming, I will go ahead and fill up so that that's ready. I'll also make sure that I have plenty of diesel fuel because the tractor that we use here on the farm requires diesel fuel. And I also want to make sure that I have extra hydraulic fluid and filters for that tractor because there have been times when we have needed it and we've been stuck here without them. That's how things get added to the list. If it's a snowstorm, also I want to make sure that the tractor's in the garage so that it stays warm and dry. And then also get those sleeping bags ready because if the power's out, we might be sleeping in this room right here near the fireplace, okay? I also need to make sure that I have enough cat food and litter to last me 7 days. So again, if this is 2 or 3 days before the storm is coming, I will go through and make a list of all the things that I need to pick up. Cat food and litter is one of the things on there, okay? I also want to make sure that I have all of my cell phones charged and ready to go. Any rechargeable lights that I have, that I've gone ahead and charged those. So I do have a deck light that goes up on the umbrella that can be recharged. But I tell you what, in the wintertime, if you bring that thing in and charge it up and leave it laying on the table, it will light up, the whole room. So I think that's great. I also have a couple of lanterns that are rechargeable. And, other things that I have batteries in them, and I reverse those batteries so that they don't drain while they're not being used. So I'll get all that kind of stuff out and have it on the table back there so that we have it if we need it, okay? I'll also go around and check for another essential, which is toilet paper and milk. I also want to make sure that we have our ice scrapers out and available and that the snow shovel is available. Snacks for the car in case we do need to leave for some reason. I never want to be in the car without snacks because there have been times when, you get stuck in a snowstorm and people will sit on the interstate for hours and hours and hours with no food. So I like to be prepared. I also like to make sure that I have medicine for at least 7 days if there is going to be a big snowstorm. And if not, I will call in a refill and pick that medication up. I also remember my friends, the birds and the squirrels, and I make sure that I have plenty of bird seed, and I do have some cash on hand because you never know when you're going to need something in an emergency and the systems may be down and the only thing that they are doing is taking cash. So I always try to get a little bit of money and have some small bills so that I can pay for something in cash if I need to. Okay? All right. So that's pretty much it for storm prep. I do have another list down here of things that I just need to keep track of to make sure that I have. laundry and dish soap, for cleaning up things if I don't have access to my dishwasher. Make sure I have a little bit of bleach for sanitizing those dishes. White vinegar is always great for cleaning. Olive oil, toilet paper, paper towels, hand sanitizer, wipes, and then getting into some food that doesn't go bad very often, peanut butter, honey, and the shelf-stable milk, which I love to buy my shelf-stable milk from the dollar store, and it comes in a nice little quart container, and I keep those in the basement as well. And for those of you who don't drink cow's milk, they also have soy milk and oat milk as well, which I think is great. All right, so that's it for my storm prep if we're going to be here at the house. So that might be a thunderstorm or a snowstorm. Now, what if something happens like there's flooding expected, or there's a tornado or hurricane or something where we're going to have to evacuate? Well, let me show you that list. First of all, you can see here on this side that I actually started this list a long time ago in a paper journal, and I ended up taking a photograph of that page and putting it in my OneNote so that I would have that to remind me. And then a few years ago, I went back and made an actual list for emergency evacuations in a clearer format instead of just my notes that I was writing down over here, okay? But you'll see a lot of the things are the same. There have been some updates, but a lot of those things are the same. And like I said at the top of the show, you can also print out that list. So you'll see this is the exact same evacuation list here that I have on my screen. And I'll show you how to do that right now. So you go up here to File, and under File, there is the word Print. And you're going to go down to Print Preview and click on Print Preview. And that will come up and it will show you what your page is going to look like when it is printed, okay? You can choose different settings here. You can do the current page. You can do the whole section if you want. You could do a whole page group if you want. I just wanted the current page. And you can choose what size paper you're printing it on, whether you want it in portrait or landscape. I'm going to choose portrait because my list is kind of long. And then here you can see the footer goes at the bottom, emergency prep page, and then page number 1, because it starts with page number 1, okay? I can see here from this print preview, if I needed to make this font a little bit bigger, it's currently at 11 point, but I could make it a little bit bigger and it would fit. And really, to print this page, I don't need this particular picture on there. I could get rid of that as well to print my page and then put it back. Meaning I could go on and cut the picture off, print the page, and then paste the picture back, okay? And then from here, all you do is you say print, and it will come up and it will ask you which printer you want to print it to that you may have connected to your house, and you click print, and then you walk away with something that looks like this, okay? All right, so for now, let's close this. And let's get back to that home evacuation list. So this is if I were having to leave because the storm was coming and it was going to be pretty bad, okay? So I have my, my weather radio, and then what I did is I put the item here and I put the location of where it is. So if I say to the family, you take the first 6 items, and my daughter takes the next 6 items, and I take the last 6 items, people will know where things are stored, okay? So the NOAA radio is in the backpack that's in the Pilot. That's probably the car that we would be taking, so that's not really something we would have to gather. I already know that it's there. I have a backpack that I keep in my car that has a lot of emergency supplies already in it. And if you are interested in seeing that video, where I go through that entire backpack, I will leave a link to it up above and down in the description box. It is one of the first videos that I created, but it has a lot of good information in it. If you are someone who's putting together a to-go bag or an evacuation bag or an emergency bag or whatever you want to call it, okay? All right. And then I have, for evacuation purposes, a gallon of water per person per day. And again, the water is in that coat closet back there. I have extra water also in the basement. I can fill that large Coleman thing and stick it in the car if I want to. And I also have 2 blue water jugs from the garage that are right next to the Coleman jug that we usually use for water for camping. But if I need to take water with me, I could use that as well. Okay? All right. Then physical copies of important documents. I have a plastic tub on the brown bookshelf in the classroom of our house that, the whole tub has all kinds of important papers. So, titles to cars, insurance, phone numbers and policy numbers, social security numbers, passports, marriage licenses, all those kinds of things are stored in there so that it's easy to grab and go if I need to, okay? 3 days worth of food. There is stacked another tub in the basement that has 3 days worth of food in it. And again, I just rotate through that food as I use things. I will put them back so that I always have fresh food in there, non-perishable food that can be used if we have to evacuate, okay? First aid kit, there's one in each car. And there is one in the cabinet over the kitchen desk. Masks, because you never know when you'll need those. They're also in the coat closet right back there. And cell phones and chargers and the juice box, the little power juice box, are in the red wire basket on the kitchen desk. So again, everything's kind of close together to be able to grab and go. Toothpaste and toothbrushes. There's some in the backpack in the Pilot. Bleach and water sanitizer, those little purification tablets, and my life straw are all in my Pilot backpack. Again, cash. There's some in the kitchen drawer, so again, quick and easy to grab if I need it. And the firebox downstairs, which has other important papers in it. Clothes and blankets. There is a suitcase in every closet, and the instruction is to grab those suitcases from the closet and grab season-appropriate clothing, socks and shoes, and a blanket for each person. Throw those in the suitcase and zip them up, okay? Local physical maps, because we may not have access to GPS. Those are also in the Pilot. Tools and duct tape. Right outside the garage door, there's a large metal shelf. And on there is, a big stack of duct tape. I do have some in the backpack in the Pilot, but there's extra there. And then the large black toolkit that we carry everywhere sits right by the garage door on the way out, so you can grab that, okay? Part of this is to write it down, all the things that you might need to take with you, so you don't have to remember it in an emergency. That's the whole purpose of a checklist, is to write it down so that there's not a lot of thinking and panicking. Have you done it? Is it there? And, check it off and move on, okay? Because sometimes, you don't have a lot of time to prepare to evacuate. Sometimes you have quite a few days, but, lots of times you don't know. There have been times when you've had to evacuate, with 5 or 10 minutes notice, okay? All right, 7 days worth of medication. I list where my husband's medication is and where my medication is. And then flashlights and lanterns. They are in the red bag, again, in that coat closet. Maybe I shouldn't call it my coat closet. Maybe I should call it my emergency kit closet. And then I keep batteries in the tub in the kitchen pantry on the floor. Copy of disaster plan and contacts with phone numbers printed. And that's, again, in that plastic tub. With the other important documents. Medical supplies, glasses, blood pressure machine, blood sugar monitor. All of those things are listed on the desk in the sunroom, which is right behind me here, and the bar, okay? So the bar has all the extra pairs of reading glasses in them. Then you might need some entertainment. Well, there's a deck of cards in the backpack of the Pilot. And then pet supplies, their food, their litter, their carriers, all their emergency things are in the basement in the pet area. And a two-way radio. We do not have a two-way radio. We do have a set of walkie-talkies, but we do not have a radio. Maybe I should think about getting one of those. All right, going on down, cars and house keys. They're in the blue bowl in the kitchen desk drawer. Propane and camping stove and fuel is out on the garage shelf on the very far side. Hand warmers are in the glove basket in the tall white closet in the garage. So there's a closed cabinet, and in there is a basket that says gloves on it, and there's extra gloves in there and hand warmers. You know, those kind that you crush up, and then they start to work for a few hours. If we had time and we needed to do this, we could also get the tent and the sleeping bag cots from the basement camping area. If we knew that it was an emergency and we were going to be somewhere outside, we would at least have a tent with us. The camping tubs are also in the basement near these tents and sleeping bags. The kitchen travel tub is in the pantry floor with the batteries. My personal coffee pot for boiling water and other things is in the basement near the camping area. And my stage manager kit. Now you might think that's an odd thing to have, but a stage manager kit for me is really a kit that has all kinds of things in it that you might need if you were a stage manager. So there are Sharpies and zip ties and emergency first aid kit and a sewing kit. And I have a box that I call my box of things that holds things together, which has paper clips and binder clips and string and tapes, all different kinds of tapes and all that kind of thing. So it's kind of like a portable junk drawer is really what it's like. But it has a lot of things in it. And I can't tell you how many times I have taken that thing with me to functions and people go, does anybody have a zip tie? Yes, I do have a zip tie. It's in my stage manager kit. All right, let's see. Going on, weather-related clothes. So if it's wintertime, hats, gloves, coats, all of that kind of thing is right there in the coat closet, and that can go. If we just need raincoats, I keep those in my car all the time anyway. And actually, I do have some emergency coats and hats and gloves in my Pilot. It has a little area underneath the back floorboard that has a little area. It's probably about that big. And I keep a couple of extra coats folded up in there because you never know when you're going to be traveling somewhere and you think it's summertime, but suddenly it's going to be cold. It's nice to have an extra coat in the car. Okay. All right. And then if I have time or I think it is going to be a terrible storm and I'm afraid that the house is going to be destroyed, I might go and pick up my photo albums and some of my sentimental items. And most of those things are stored in the master bedroom. I've learned not to store things like that in the basement because it seems to me that the basement floods often and, that there's always a problem with things that get stored in the basement. So anything that's really important to me, I've been keeping in the master bedroom. And also, again, if there is time to grab the camera bag from the family room desk and then the iPads and the laptops, which, are scattered. I can't really put a place for those because, they vary from time to time where they are, but it might be nice to have those as well. Okay. All right. So you can see that is a lot of stuff to collect. And again, if you were having, a half an hour to evacuate, you may not be able to collect all this stuff. But if you know that a hurricane is coming or a winter storm, blizzard is coming, and you have 3 or 4 days to prepare, certainly you can get all of these things together. Now, I'm curious, what did I leave off of my list that you might put on your evacuation list or your storm prep list? Go ahead and leave me a comment. And if you'd like, I know some of you are enjoying these emojis that we've been doing. Go ahead and leave me some kind of weather-related emoji, either a thunderstorm or a snowflake or something like that, a tornado. I don't even know if there is a tornado emoji. But anyway, go ahead and leave me an emoji for a weather-related item if you've made it this far in the video. And again, I would love to know what is on your emergency preparedness list. What is on your evacuation list if needed? All right. Well, let's hope that we never have to use these lists, but the good news is that if we do need them, we've already done all of that thinking. We've done our GTD of getting it out of our head and writing it down in our trusted source so that we'll have it when we need it. All right, well, until next time, here's hoping that you can live a more simplified and organized life through better planning. For every day or emergencies, I use OneNote. Until next time, okay, bye.